Good morning. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Shields and Arrows. Great to have you with us. I'm Pastor Mark Baze. And we have a number of things we're going to get to today. A little bit of matters concerning Trump versus Biden's handling of Easter and what that tells us about what America wants. I really do think that. And there's a reason why Joe Biden did not win. There's a reason why he got kicked out of the presidential race by his own party. And then we're also going to talk about a few other matters. We're going to talk about the Gospel Coalition, how spineless they really are. I have ranted and railed about the Gospel Coalition before, but I'm going to rant and rail some more. We're also going to be talking a little bit of a teaser about a video I'm going to do tomorrow. Now, hold on. I'm not doing a new video tomorrow. I'm going to do Shields and Arrows tomorrow, but we're going to spend the time going over a certain video, okay? Responding to it. Dispensational lies, should we just give up dispensational doctrine? Is it nothing more than just an invention by John Nelson Darby? Is it false doctrine? Are dispensationalists burning in hell today? We'll talk about that. And so with that, excited to have all of you with us. Now, there's a lot going on in the news that I could dive into, talk about, the whole matter of the courts and like how the courts are just seeming to be absolutely undermining the authority of the executive branch. It's always funny to me, they scream checks and balances when a Republican is in the White House. Of course, when a Democrat's in the White House, let them do whatever they want. But we got to realize that the checks and balances work all the way around. What about the abuse of the courts? Are the courts abusing their power and their authority? It's amazing to me. I used to think that we had a conservative court, but it seems to me that's not the case. So basically, once a Democrat gets the White House and they get the both houses of Congress, well, there you go. We're in a lot of trouble. And so the courts really are battling hard against Trump's efforts to deport gang members, and they're using this one terrible example of this. And so here's the thing. Here's how much attention I've been paying to the story. I've listened to it some, and so I may get names wrong. I may get locations wrong. So apparently there's this guy who lived in, was it Massachusetts? Is that where he lived? After leaving El Salvador, maybe fleeing El Salvador, because he, for whatever reason, the El Salvadorian government was not hot on him. Maybe he committed some crimes. And so when he gets here, seems to be like he has ties to MS-13. Kind of like walks like a duck, talks like a duck, tattoos like a duck, if the duck was in MS-13. And also doesn't seem to be the most upstanding citizen. His wife reported abuse by him, physical abuse. And so Trump deports him back to El Salvador, where he came from, but seemed to overlook a court order from someone at some point by some judge that said, no, he can stay here. And so now all the liberals have their big sob story, right? This poor man who's a father has been deported to El Salvador, being detained there now, being treated like inhumanely, and all of this, and how terrible the Trump administration is. Even though, that's the worst story they can find about the Trump deportations. Back in, prior times, months before, years before, oh, how terrible it is. Trump's going to be going around deporting sweet little abuelas, just wanting to make, nice little home-cooked meals for their family. But the story they're having to cling to, because they're losing so badly on the matter of illegal aliens, is, oh, here's this guy who probably was an MS-13 gang member, and also, oh yeah, his wife said that he abused her, but he got sent back to a country that he wasn't supposed to get sent back to, and how terrible it is, and Trump's evil. And also now the courts are saying that Trump doesn't have the right to deport illegals under the Enemies Act. I can't remember exactly the terminology there. Long story short, that's a lot of the big discussion going on this week, and it just frustrates me because the American people voted Trump in to do that job. Immigration was probably the main thing, okay? And yet the courts seem to not like it. And clearly there's justices who think otherwise. Clarence Thomas, Justice Alito, I think. Those are the two that dissented on that ruling. very, very frustrating. But you know what? It's making the Democrats look absolutely terrible because they are having to defend this very likely MS-13 gang member, spousal abuser. And so go ahead, Democrats. Keep it up. Keep it up. Let's see if you can win elections in the meantime. Tariffs, what's going on with tariffs? I don't know. Here's the thing that's very frustrating to me. I know the economy matters, right? We agree. Economy is important, especially if you want Trump to be able to win, the midterms, and then, J.D. Vance, whoever win in 2028. The economy is important. I'm not saying it isn't by any means. But it's frustrating to me how we hear a lot of conservatives even talk about how important it is that something needs to change on our industries, our trade, we're way too reliant on China. Oh, we're way too reliant on China. And then Trump's like, I'll start a tariff war with China. And then they all panic and say, no, you can't do that. We're too reliant on China. Okay, so, what are you trying to say here? What's the point? Because I think this whole tariff war, this trade war, has exposed, we're way too reliant on China. And so what's the solution? It seems to me a lot of people I respect even, Ben Shapiro's been very hard on Trump lately, as well as some other, supposedly conservatives, which I do think Ben Shapiro's conservative to a degree. Not Massachusetts, Maryland, thank you, Ken, on that one. Yeah, husband and proud papa. Anyways, so they on one side of their mouth they're screaming we're too reliant on China. On the other, it's stop the trade war. We got to have China. I mean, it sounds to me like Trump just exposed. We're in bad shape. We've got to stop relying on China. This is not a good thing. This is a bad deal. Okay, this is a bad deal. So what are we going to do about it? I hope we fix things. I think that we can. I just hope that some people have the willingness and the spine to stay the course and realize, hey, the writing on the wall. This told us we've got a big problem. We've got a serious China reliance problem, and we would do well to course correct our economy and how we're handling things. All right. Now, let's go ahead and get into the matter why we elected Trump in the first place. Yes, he was elected to deport all of these illegal aliens, but there's another very significant reason why we elected Trump, and it's because of this. I'll remind you. Let's see if I can find a famous picture here. And I mean, obviously it needs to be blurred, and I think it will be. Let's see. Of course, who knows? Google may be trying to absolutely hide this matter. Do you recall, wasn't it just last year? Yes. This is on X. I don't even want to... I really am torn because I don't even want to show you the full image here. So I'm going to zoom in and try to move upwards. There we go. Okay. So I'll remind you, what was the date on this? This was March 30th, and I'm pretty sure this is the day before Easter Sunday. Okay, so this is the day before Easter Sunday in 2024, and the White House, of course this was Joe Biden's White House, observed the Transgender Day of Visibility, okay? And that's I think I've got the picture about as far as I'm willing to do this thing. So here we go. It is blurred in the picture, but even being blurred, it's still extremely disturbing. So here is, the president posing with a man. Yes, that's a man. You can put lipstick on a pig, and that doesn't change things. You can even try to do what you can to put, all the makeup and maybe, even give him estrogen and whatnot. But that is a man. Surgeries have been done, and this man here, very confused man, what have you, decides to, at some point in this event on the White House lawn, you can see the White House in the background, take his shirt off and expose these prosthetics that he has had surgically placed on his body. And that was March 30th, the day before Easter last year, which also happened to coincide with the Transgender Day of Visibility. This is why Trump got in the White House. I know there's a lot of people that want to say, well, it has to do with Biden's handling of Afghanistan, which was atrocious, and also played a role in that. It was had to do with the immigration, had to do with the recession. I really do believe, though, that this matter right here, okay, having a bunch of mentally disturbed, how do I word this? I don't know. Is it okay just to bring back a word that you used to be able to use? I'm going to try it. I'll remind you, we're losing subscribers on YouTube right now. I don't know if it's because people are finding my sermons to be bad or what, and they don't like me. Or maybe YouTube doesn't like what I'm having to say. That's why we're also streaming on Worshipify. If you want to go over there and say hi, feel free to do that. They're freaks. I don't know how else to put it. They're mentally disturbed freaks. They need help. They probably need to be put in an institution of some sort. Of course, we've already shut down all the institutions. And so that was Joe Biden's day before Easter, okay? And then on Easter Sunday, of course, Joe Biden, this is a funny, if you want to be amused, go to Fox News, and they've got their little flashback on all of Biden's best moments. And, of course, there's some Listerine for you if you want to get some Listerine. Remember when they were doing the egg roll, and so Joe Biden was meeting, and like there were some reporters on the side, and Joe Biden starts talking to him. And listen, this is courtesy of Fox News on their link here, so I don't get in trouble. But let's he's got an ad to play, but you've got to watch this because this is just so funny. So they're doing the egg roll. This is the day after. And I think this was in 2024. It might have been, it'd be bad though. This might have been 2024. No, this was 2022. That makes it even worse. This wasn't last year's. This was 2022. So it's kind of a long story. But remember, here's the Easter Bunny. So Joe Biden goes to talk to the reporters, and the Easter Bunny's like, no, don't talk to him. Go away. Go away. I think see, there it is. These birds no, don't talk to him. Don't do it. And then the Babylon Bee, I think there was a meme that it was actually Barack Obama or something in the Easter Bunny outfit. So there's that. That's the 2022. Here's one more good picture for you. There's all the reporters in the background. Joe Biden talking to him. He starts talking about Afghanistan and Pakistan. And the bunny's like, no, of course. The height there, Joe Biden's not a short guy, I don't think. But I don't know if that's, tall enough to be Obama. It could be Hillary Clinton. I have no idea who's in that bunny costume. But, here you go. Once again, this was 2024. On Easter Sunday, Joe Biden on his social media, the White House, they actually made the post. So here is, here's that major post about transgender visibility. So this was the post he made on on Easter Sunday. On Transgender Day of Visibility, we honor the extraordinary courage and contributions of transgender Americans and reaffirm our nation's commitment to forming a more perfect union, where all people are created equal and treated equally throughout their lives, unless you're in the womb. And said a White House statement recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility on Easter Sunday. Fox Digital previously reported, today we send a message to all transgender Americans: you are loved, you are heard, you are understood, you belong, you are America, and my entire administration and I have your back. So there was his post for the Transgender Day of Visibility. Now this is the White House website, the archives. Here is the statement from Joe Biden on Easter, March 31st, 2024. This is on the White House website. So here it is. Should I try to read it in the voice, or would that just be too painful for all of us? Jill and I, our warmest wishes to Christians around the world celebrating Oyster Sunday. Remember when he said oyster? That was the thing that he did. Oyster Sunday. Oyster reminds us of the power of hope and the promise of Christ's resurrection. Which, this is good. He does acknowledge, Christ's resurrection. So props due there. The day after he had a man exposing himself on the White House lawn. As we gather with the loved ones, we remember Jesus' sacrifice. We pray for one another and cherish the blessings of the dawn of new possibilities. See, and this is where the liberals just go completely, spiritualize it. New possibilities. That's what the resurrection's all about, folks. It's really just a message to us that, hey, even when the chips are down, there's still hope, right? There's new possibilities out there. And with wars and conflict taking a toll on innocent lives around the world, we renew our commitment to work for peace, security, and dignity for all people. From our family to yours, happy Easter and may God bless you. So there's that. Let's see here. Let's go to the White House. Of course, this one is the old one because it's just all of Joe Biden stuff. It's not even the new White House website. So this is whitehouse.gov. And let's see here, administration. Let's see here. I would like to see, can I find is there an official Easter statement on this matter? Briefings and statements. Not seeing it there. Of course, that was under the archives in the old one, so I don't know, Donald Trump, no. But we do know Trump did have a statement on Easter Sunday. So, anyways, we can compare all of that. So let's go ahead and go to the Daily Wire. Here's their record of Trump's handling of Easter Sunday. And, there's the Easter Bunny. I know Christianity, sometimes we want to, and there's reasons for it. Hey, what's the deal? Why we have the bunny? What's the deal with the eggs? Is this not a distraction from, what this is really all about? Where do these origins come from? Which I need to do my own research on the matter and see where those came from. But hey, you know what? It is traditional. Hey, Easter, we got the colors, the pastels, what have you. The President and the First Lady greeted their guests from the Blue Room balcony overlooking the South Lawn, same lawn, I believe, for the Transgender Day of Visibility, where staff had prepared games and activities for brightly colored families in attendance. An estimated 30,000 people attended Monday's event, according to a member of the First Lady's team. And it was just really good. This was Trump's statement. We are honoring Jesus Christ. We're going to honor Jesus Christ very powerfully throughout our lives. And his address in the Oval Office was quite good as well, if you haven't seen that. Promise Trump, not just now, all throughout our lives, we're bringing religion back in America, which is a very good thing. So a lot of good stuff. Here's the video here of Trump and coloring Easter eggs and stuff, sitting with the kids. Here's the thing. There are people that are going to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Negative about things. Say, well, Trump hasn't done this. Trump hasn't done that. Trump's done this in his life. He's just putting on a show. He doesn't really live it out. You know what? I'm not so much worried about that. Okay? I'm not worried about how many times Trump's been married. I'm not worried about things he's said behind closed doors. And what I care about is, what is the image you're getting from the White House? That's what I'm really wanting. That's what I'm asking for. What image? Okay, so let me ask you this. So here's this image. All right. There's Trump. Nice looking kids sitting around coloring Easter egg time, openly talking about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. There's that. And then here's the image you're getting from, the Joe Biden White House, right? The one that we've already showed you. There's that one. Okay. The day right before Easter, Transgender Day of Visibility. Okay. There you go. There's the parallel. And that's why Trump won. And that's why Biden lost. Because we're sick and tired of it. So fault Trump for all you want. I've said I've been critical of some of his executive orders. I think he's been too overreaching. I don't think he's done enough for the Second Amendment. I think Pam Bombadil's a terrible choice. Okay? So before you start saying, oh, you're just a Trumper, you're just a MAGA, apologist, and you're just going to defend Trump. No, that's not it. Don't Don't put words in my mouth. But if you cannot look with all of Trump's flaws, and he's got them, if you cannot look at those two pictures side by side and look at the words being said by two different men who have served in the highest office in the land and say one of these is objectively better than the other, on a mere image, on a mere principle, I don't know what to tell you. There's something wrong with your outlook. There's something wrong with your mentality. If you're going to somehow try to argue and justify Joe Biden's conduct as the president as opposed to Trump. Plain and simple, you have a serious flaw in your logic. You have a serious flaw in your convictions. All right. Now, with that, I do want to let you know there are a few sermons I've got to get caught up on and I'm going to fix. I do apologize for that. So get ready. I've got to reteach a few. I know I've had a few questions on it. So the question of did God the Father turn his back on Christ? That one did not work. I'm going to get that one fixed. I've got to reteach it. I do apologize for the trouble there. I think there's maybe another one, Jerusalem versus Babylon. That's another sermon I'm going to have to teach. And once again, I apologize for the issues there. So with that, I apologize for the difficulties, but we're gonna work on getting it on track. Okay. All right. Now, speaking of getting on track, I want to tease you for just a second. There is a video I'm going to do a response to. It's an older video, 10 years old. In YouTube time. It's not as old as what it once was, interestingly, because, YouTube's been around for a while, actually. But there is a sermon I saw. It was just given to me by algorithm, and I want to respond to it. It's from the Word of Truth Baptist Church. Hey, they're not doing bad. 7.46 thousand subscribers. And it looks like, I wonder if they're still going strong today. No, not really, I guess. It looks like they stopped uploading somewhere around 6 years ago. I don't know anything about them, but I'm just looking at some of the sermon topics here. I'm trying to figure out what their position is. I don't know if they're covenant theology. I'm not sure if they're Calvinist. They're certainly not Catholic. They may be Calvinist, but they certainly, probably covenant theology is the idea here. But the particular sermon that they had actually has a lot of views. And they have a number of sermons that actually have a lot of views. So this pastor, I think his name's Steve Anderson. I don't know where he's at today, what's going on with him today. But look at some of these sermons here. Bible prophecy in Ezekiel, Gog and Magog, destruction of Jerusalem. I mean, look, there's 77,000 views, 51,000 views. Those are the numbers I wish my sermons could get. That's the thing that's frustrating is I, try to do these hopefully good Bible teaching sermons, and yet, those only get a few views, and then I make my edited videos and they get a bunch. Well, I say a bunch. They get a lot more, right, than what my sermons do. Depends on if 100,000 or so is a bunch. But the sermon that he preached on that I saw in my feed that I wanted to take the time to watch and give a response to is this sermon right, let's see here. I'm just going to have to go back to it, I think, on my link. It's this one right here. The lies of dispensationalism. This one right here at the top. So exposing the lies of dispensationalism, a doctrine attributed mostly to John Nelson Darby, known as the father of dispensationalism. And their point of salvation has always been by grace through faith, regardless of the age. But he makes a lot of arguments, and he makes a lot of arguments. He makes his complaints about the lies of dispensationalism, as he calls them. And so tomorrow, I haven't done a video response in a while, but we're going to take the time to watch some of his arguments there, see what he has to say. The case that he's going to make historically, the case that he's going to make theologically, as he analyzes some of the text. And so we'll see, hey, is this all a bunch of lies? Are we all in a bunch of trouble? Do we need to become covenant theologians? All right, we'll find out. I've watched some of it, and I need to finish the rest of it. But there's the teaser. Tomorrow will be a special episode in which we take the time to watch and respond to this matter of dispensational lies, all right? Not dispensational eyes, because we're reading the Bible literally, grammatically, historically, contextually, and rightly divided. And we're also going to talk about, I think he misunderstands hyper-dispensationalism, at least maybe a little bit, but we'll see. And some of his claims about John Nelson Darby, C.I. Scofield, are those true? We'll see. All right, let's go ahead and move on now and talk about our favorite topic of the day, which is the Gospel Coalition. So the Gospel Coalition is Spineless. You heard me talk about the Gospel Coalition before. They are a group. They have podcasts, they have events, they have articles that they write. And so they have a ministry. It is Calvinist in slant, and it has quite a bit of influence on young people. Because Calvinism is popular amongst the younger kids. Here is the thing that I'm going to take issue with the Gospel Coalition today. Oftentimes I take issue with their interpretation of the Bible because they allegorize it and they read their Calvinism into everything, and so they don't ever do good exegesis. They only just do eisegesis, reading themselves into the text. But today I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to go a different route. We're going to stay political today. You ready? The Gospel Coalition... interesting. They try to claim to stand for traditional biblical values, marriage, family, pro-life, all of that. Now, I'm not telling you that our politicians are great on those issues. There's some of them that are better than others. But you do know, okay, if I told you, all right, I believe in marriage being between a man and a woman, I believe that life starts at conception. I believe that, trying to think another good example here, just fundamental stuff. I think church is a good thing, and that we should be a Christian nation, right? That our nation should have Christian values. Who are you guessing that I'm voting for? Or what party affiliation do I probably have? Probably Republican. Maybe independent. I would almost start to say maybe libertarian, but the libertarians they're a lost cause. So probably Republican, right? Well, those are all the values that the Gospel Coalition seems to claim, right? That they hold to, that they believe in, and yet they never seem to be able to just simply admit the political realities on the ground, like the political facts, all right? Who is conservative? Who is liberal? Who is standing for our values? Who's fighting for our values? The Gospel Coalition, the reason why they're spineless is because they're so afraid of being labeled as conservative or right-wing, because they've got us, we're above politics. We are children. We're citizens of the kingdom. We don't get down in the filth of this world. We're not of this world. So therefore, we're not going to affiliate with any particular political ideology. After all, we're citizens of the kingdom, and it's Calvinism, so it's God's will. Whoever's in office is God's will, right? Unless it's Trump. It's not God's will. That's the work of Satan. The Gospel Coalition is spineless because they will not admit that the Democrats are endorsing anti-God positions. That's why they're spineless. Gospel Coalition, if anybody from the Gospel Coalition ever sees this, because maybe it'll get on the feed because it's got Gospel Coalition in the name, you are spineless because you will not call out the Democrats for what they are. You will not name them. There's a problem with the idea of the terrorism in the Middle East. Oh, terrorism in the Middle East, I'm telling you. When we talk about terrorism in the Middle East, we're pretty much talking about Islamic terrorism, radical Muslim terrorists, and yet we can't name it. Now, we could have another discussion, and this is coming with the rise of the anti-Israel sentiments amongst some people on the right, which is interesting. I do not, well, I don't want to get into that right now. Let's just say that they're making two different mistakes. They're making a theological mistake and they're making a political mistake, I think. And also multiple things can be true at once. So there's three things going on there, three factors. So with that being said, just as our media doesn't want to name who are the terrorists in the Middle East, they also don't admit which party is the one that is anti-God in America. Okay, and I use that with strong, I know it's strong language, but it's because I mean it. We have an anti-God party in America. So look at this article here. Ready? Colorado to Christian parents. Surrender your faith or surrender your children. Colorado, y'all are so evil. Did you know that Coloradians, Coloradites, Coloradoans, whatever the term is, what are y'all called? I mean, New Mexico is like New Mexican, right? Is Utah Utes? I don't even know. But regardless, all of you people that live in Colorado, where's Myra? No. Myra, are you even on with us today? Right, I'm right about no. Myra's not Myra's, Wisconsin. I'm drawing a blank. Somebody help me. Our good friend, who often watches, who I don't think is with us today, is in Colorado. And I am drawing a blank right now. But anyways, forgive me. That's why you don't name names, because you may forget them on the spot. These Colorado people are running around telling Christian parents, you better give up Christianity or we're going to take your kids. This is why I say they're spineless. Is Colorado doing this? Like the state, the people? Or is it a particular type of people in Colorado? A particular ideology in Colorado? Let's go ahead and read on the article here. All right. First, they targeted a baker. Who is they, Gospel Coalition? Who is doing that? Nancy, right? Nancy, you're over in Colorado, I think. There we go. It's Nancy. And if I'm wrong, nobody tell me. So here, yeah, okay, so Colorado first came after, remember when all the Colorado people got their pitchforks and torches and went after that poor baker? Don't seem to recall that. I don't seem to recall a bunch of Colorado people just deciding that they're going to go after a poor baker. You know what I do remember, though? I remember when the Democrats tried to go after a poor baker. Democrat politicians and judges tried to go after a poor baker and his business. That's what I remember. Let's go ahead and read this ridiculous article from the Gospel Coalition. Colorado's anti-Christian trajectory became apparent in 2012. Oh, really? Oh, really? Let's just see what the, I wonder what happened in 2012. Oh, yeah. Colorado was liberal. The blue state, huh? That seems to be what happened in the days of 2012. It's a mystery. I don't know. For some reason, the Colorado people just decided to attack some poor person. Colorado's anti-Christian trajectory, anti-Republican trajectory, became apparent in 2012 when a Masterpiece cake shop owner, Jack Phillips, declined to create a wedding cake celebrating a same-sex ceremony. During a hearing on the case by the Colorado Civil Rights Commission, a commissioner said Phillips can believe what he wants to believe, but cannot act on his religious beliefs because if he decides to do business in the state. Who are the lawmakers? It says now, 13 years later, Colorado lawmakers have shifted their sights from business to the family. House Bill 251312, or 1312, the deceptively named Kelly Loving Act, has cleared the Colorado House. Who owns the House? Gospel Coalition, and advances to the Senate with minimal national attention. Yet its implications are staggering. Under this legislation, simply using your child's birth name or biologically accurate pronouns could be legally classified as coercive control, potentially resulting in the loss of custody rights. The message Colorado is sending, Colorado Colorado is sending is unmistakable. Surrender your biblical convictions or surrender your children. How about the Democrats running Colorado Gospel Coalition? Please, can you just have a little bit of, is there a single vertebrae, or are you just, are you all cartilage? Or worse, are you just jelly? I don't even know what your position is. And he goes on and says, many Coloradans, there it is, Coloradans, may not realize how this legislation creates a two-tiered legal system. Parents who hold a traditional Christian understanding of gender could face intervention by the state without any evidence of actual abuse or neglect. All that's necessary is evidence that they didn't verbally affirm their child's self-declared gender identity. You go on, you read the rest of the article. It's Colorado this, Colorado that, Colorado lawmakers. While proponents of this bill fame gender-affirming care as settled science, they also fail to mention the significant policy reversals occurring across Europe. Sweden, Finland, and England, hardly bastions of religious conservatism, have all dramatically restricted medical transitions, so they're appealing, to what they're doing. And they say, how should Christians respond? Scripture teaches us that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. The NIV is so bad. And against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. The Kelly-Loving Act exemplifies this reality. I mean, there's their words right there. Yes, it is true, because the Word of God says it. We know that there are underlying currents in the spiritual world that is affecting what we're doing. That's the source of these problems. This is the struggle. But it can be manifested in the flesh. It can be absolutely manifested in the flesh, in the physical world. You're seeing it. The Kelly-Loving Act is an example of the spiritual forces manifesting in the physical world. There you go. At its core, this legislation attacks the biblical understanding that humans are created male and female in God's image. How should faithful Christians respond? First, with urgent prayer and political engagement. Oh, really? Political engagement, like what? Voting out the Democrats? I would recommend that. That would be my first recommendation if, if I want to change things in Colorado, a great way to do it, get the Democrats out of office. And they'll stop trying to trans the kids. I'll remind you, we're losing subscribers on YouTube. Go over to Worshipify to be able to watch the show if we ever get kicked off. So, Gospel Coalition, that's your solution. That's the political answer. That's how you solve this conundrum. And you'll read the rest of this article, and you're not going to see anything acknowledging the terrible policies of the Democrats themselves. It's all vague. I wonder who is doing it. What political ideology, what political group is involved in such heinous ideas? You read it and you get all the way down to the end of the article. Not a single mention of what group, what political party, what ideology is promoting such things. This is written by Joe Carter. He's a senior writer for the Gospel Coalition, author of the Life and Faith Field Guide for Parents, the editor of the NIV Life Hacks Bible, and co-author of How to Argue Like Jesus, Learning Persuasion from History's Greatest Communicator. He also serves as associate pastor of McLean Bible Church in Arlington, Virginia. That is the key, folks. That is the key. Joe Carter is the writer of this article, and he is the associate pastor at McLean Bible Church. Now, where have I heard McLean before? Why does that name? Because it's David Platt's church in Washington, D.C. The source of all the controversy, how they did a hostile takeover, allegedly, and a lot of evidence to support it, changing voting operations, allegedly, which I think there's a lot of evidence to that. I don't even know if you have to say allegedly. But that's why. Because the Gospel Coalition is backed by people like this. Located in Arlington. There it is. Yeah. I guess that's right. In Arlington, Virginia. And so anyways, that's Yeah, that's got to be it, right? McLean Bible Church. If we go to sermons in Arlington. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, David Platt. It almost threw me for a loop there because I couldn't remember if McLean was in Bible. Like, I think actually McLean is maybe technically like a suburb of Arlington, but they just call it Arlington. But yeah, McLean Bible Church is run by David Platt, who is who's a leftist. He's a progressive socialist leftist. He would deny those things probably, but it's all about practice. So here you go. You want to see the big parallel here. So that was the article on what Colorado's doing, whatever that means. And now here's their article back in November when Trump appointed Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is speaking up for the unborn. Notice the name. Who is it? It's Joe Carter. He's the author of this same article. While visiting a Christian college in 2016, then presidential candidate Donald Trump jokingly bragged, "I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters." Okay? It's like incredible. Yeah, Trump says a lot of things, but he makes a point. Thankfully, he has never tested that boast, but in his second term, he's attempting to do something nearly as incredible, nominating an abortion supporter to head the nation's public health services. Notice how political everything is all of a sudden. Colorado, ambiguous as far as political issues concerned, taking parental custody away that if you don't affirm your child's identity, confusion. But over here, unashamedly, there it is, Donald Trump. And they almost accidentally do it. Look at this. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a peculiar choice for numerous reasons. He's a lifelong Democrat. Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. Yeah, the Democrats have long been not very famous or famously known for supporting life. They've been pretty pro-abortion. I don't know why you don't ever criticize the Democrats. You always, anytime you have anything negative to say about the Democrats, it's in the most vaguest manner possible. Because I think you probably vote for them. He's a lifelong Democrat who supported pro-abortion candidates, John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama, before running as a pro-abortion candidate for the 2024 Democratic Party presidential primaries. After receiving almost no support, he dropped out and ran as an independent. Of course, you know the story. This is all the way back in November. Now, this is where politics comes in, folks. And it's just the world we live in. Kennedy was drawing enough that it might help. It might help. So when Kennedy, do you think Kennedy just supported Trump out of the goodness of his heart? I mean, I think he had some, I think that Kennedy is a man of conviction. I think he genuinely believes there's serious problems about our health, in the country, and some of the matters concerning how are we making these foods, the processing of these foods, even the pharmaceutical industry and all those things. I think he has genuine conviction. But do you think he just supported Trump because he just believed in everything Trump did? Or do you think Trump said, "Let's make a deal, Bobby"? And him and Bobby got together. They came up with an agreement. I'll support you for president if you will let me be the Secretary of Health. And Trump said, "Deal." And they signed the deal. And that was it. Because it's politics. Now, look what they do. Look what Joe Carter does. The nomination is a signal that the GOP, look at him naming names. GOP, Republican Party, won't say anything about the Democrats in the Colorado article. But let's just be blunt about it. He only mentions the Democrats in passing. His axe to grind, he says, he's a Democrat who supported pro-abortion candidates like John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, blah, 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 blah. But his axe to grind's not really with that. It's look how bad the GOP is. At least be consistent with both sides. Like Be critical of both sides equally, naming names. If you're going to name names here, why don't you name names in the other article? Give me a break. And Kennedy's confirmation, so it's a signal that the GOP has fully shifted from the pro-life party. Oh, it is? Really? Because last time I checked, the GOP was the one that appointed enough Supreme Court justices to overturn Roe v. Wade. And now abortion is effectively banned in Oklahoma. It's effectively banned in many places, Florida, Texas, a large number of states. Now, there's some states like Kansas. Kansas, you got to get together. I don't know what your problem is. You should be more conservative than you are. Is Kansas City really just running the show around there? And Kansas City's like even partly over in Missouri. So what's the deal here? But regardless, don't play this game where you want to try to claim the GOP is just as bad for nominating Kennedy that they're just as bad as the Democrats who openly support abortion without limits. Get out of here, Carter. Get out of here. That's a joke. That's a joke. And anybody that buys into this is shame on you for being so gullible. That's absurd. That's absurd. Whether you like it or not, Trump has done more for babies in the womb than any president we've had before. At least in the modern times since this has been an issue. He has done more. For all of his flaws. This is the reason why they're so critical of the GOP is because they are liberal in their ideology. They like welfare. They like socialism. They buy into racial theory. And so they'll whine a little bit, oh, pro-life, we need to be pro-life. Or they'll whine, oh, transgenderism. When those chickens come home to roost, when it's time to pull that lever in November, they ain't pulling it for the conservative. They're not doing it. And they justify it because they have these little bitty things that they cling to make them feel better. It gives them the warm fuzzies. Well, you know, if Trump was really pro-life, I would vote for him. But he's just not. So I'm voting for two candidates that are pro-abortion, but this one wants to help minorities and give out free checks to homeless people. And that's what Jesus would want me to do. As they go over there and they pull the lever. I know that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. So they justify it. So this nomination signals that the GOP has fully shifted from the pro-life party to one that's unapologetically pro-choice? Really? That's big jump. Big jump there. And Kennedy's confirmation to the position would be a political inflection point for the pro-life movement. As former Vice President Mike Pence said, and the only reason he likes Mike Pence now is because Mike Pence doesn't like Trump, I believe the nomination of RFK Jr. to serve as Secretary of Health and Human Services an abrupt departure from the pro-life record. Do y'all not recall when Robert F. Kennedy came out and said, I'm going to take the position of Trump on this matter? Because it was a major point. A lot of people said, hey, this is a problem. So, the whole thing goes on and on. Call for accountability and favorableness. Unfortunately, the silence of national pro-life groups provides cover for Republican senators to support Kennedy's confirmation. Give me a break. You know why Kennedy probably is pro-abortion for the most part? Because he's a Democrat. That's how he was raised. That's how he's brought up. So the Gospel Coalition is spineless because they continue to promote garbage like this. And that's why they're never going to make a difference in anything. Because they use their moral high horse to somehow justify their socialism gospel that's promoted by people like David Platt and others, Francis Chan, all the like. And they're Calvinists. Calvinists are in for a rude awakening because there's some Calvinists that think that they're the movement of conservative values. But when you get down to the the foundations of it, Calvinism just turns into social gospel program as well. Because you figure it out, you make the Bible figurative. You spiritualize the kingdom. And so guess what? Now everybody's Israel, and we've got to have welfare programs for everybody. And somehow you think it's sustainable, as if man can create a perfect government, utopia on earth, instead of rather saying let each man care for himself and his own family. You got a lot of problems. Calvinism has a lot of problems. All right, everyone. That's all I have for you today. Tomorrow should be fun for our response to the video that I'll be addressing, so hopefully you can join us for that. Tomorrow we'll be going live for our Wednesday night Bible study. I'll be getting caught up on a lot of things, sermons and whatnot. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for supporting our ministry. Got them some things in the works I'm trying to get planned, prepared for you. Just stay tuned. If you would like to reach out to me, feel free to email me, contact me at markbazeministries.org. And until tomorrow, we'll see you then. Whoops.